Wherever love goes, there is also misery. It's no mystery. And you and I, we got history. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the 7 characteristics of makeup again. So if you liked last week's tutorial, you're going to like this week's tutorial because I'm going to show you a more close, in-depth look on how to do a natural look contouring of your eyes. So I hope that you like this, and let's go ahead and get this started. Okay, so the look of how to actually do the contouring of the eye is a little bit more interesting because there's thousands and thousands of ways you can do it. Now, if you're wanting a cut crease, a feathered crease, a full coated, just one color eye, which is basically where you go from brightness to darkness, fitting for the crease or whatever you're wanting to do. Now, what I'm going to show you, what I also did for Thanksgiving, was kind of like a neutral, matte, shimmer, color tones and stuff, using the Morphe palettes. So I'm going to show you how I achieved that look taking and using the Morphe palettes. If you haven't seen my Morphe tutorial on a look that I did, the link will be down in the description. But otherwise, let's go ahead and dive into this. That way I can show you guys what's going on. As you notice, I am not speeding these up because I want it to be as in-depth as possible. So the first thing that I'm going to go in for, which is for a crease, which is kind of like, it's going to be a transition shade. And a transition shade is where you go from obviously light to dark, but you want to stay more on a neutral tone before you go too dark. If you try to go too dark, it's going to be really hard to blend that out of the crease and into the brow bone or into the lid, because it's going to be really dark. So what you want to do is go in with a lighter shade first, and then you want to build your colors up using less product or more product depending on the look that you're wanting to do. So what I'm going to go in with first is this shade right here. I'm going to go in with this shade, and it's a neutral light pigment tone, so it's not going to be too dark. And then afterwards I can go in with a darker tone to take and build the contrast of the eye and more contouring into the eye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use just this right here, fluffy brush, and I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this from the Vanity palette, makeup palette, on one of the videos, and some of you guys have gotten it. So if you have this palette and everything of these brushes and everything, get them out and go ahead and start moving along with me. And you don't have to have the same palette as me. A lot of other eyeshadows out there will work just the same as long as you have a nice neutral toned color. So I'm going to just tap my brush into the pan. I'm not going to swirl it, I'm just going to tap, because you don't want too much product because you're building your contour. You don't want to have too much, because how I do my eyes is I'm changing the shape of my eyes. I'm changing the shape. I'm not so much leaving the shape, I'm growing more of a shape into it and changing it just a little bit, with dimension and shadows and stuff. So I'm just going to tap into that shadow that I showed you guys, and then I'm going to go from the outside corner of my eye. I'm going to touch down, and then I'm just going to start blending this into the crease, pressing with medium pressure, not too much pressure. If you're pressing down like this, you're not going to be able to blend as well. What I'm going to do is I'm holding the brush by the end and then pressing it on the inside of my finger, and then just like doing swiping motions. And then I feather out the top towards the brow bone, and then just feather it out and keep blending. You don't want any harsh lines, because that's what makes eyeshadow look really good without any harsh lines. That's also what makes it look very natural as well, is no harsh lines. So I'm just going to feather this out and keep feathering it, and then I'm going to bring it up towards the eyebrow a little bit, and then I'm just going to keep feathering it on up towards the brow bone. And this right here will also lift the eye as well and make the socket of your eye a little bit more deeper. So if you've ever seen a tutorial on how to make like a skull look or something like that, that's basically what you're doing, is you're building into the socket of the eye, but building more of a feminine feature to the eye. And then of course just go ahead and do the other one as well. And if you have a hard time with opposites, like you're better with your right hand and it's kind of hard to do the left side of your face, don't worry. I know the struggle is real because I had that exact same problem when I first started doing makeup. It was like, this side of my face looks great, this side of my face looks like crap. I had that problem a lot. So, and as you guys notice, I'm probably talking a lot louder and more accurate than what I usually sound like and stuff. Is because, believe it or not, I am actually a very nervous person. So it's surprising, even knowing I'm actually an entertainer on stage. But I'm actually a really nervous person, even knowing that I'm just basically, I'm talking to you guys, but I'm looking at a camera. When I was doing my tutorials before, I had other people in the room, so it made me nervous. Because they all looked at me like I was a lunatic because I was talking to a camera. So, and I'm like, you just don't get it, because I'm actually talking to my subscribers. I'm not just talking to a camera. But yeah, so I sound a lot better today and a lot more confident because there's no one else here to bother me. But anyways, yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue building into the eyeshadow and stuff into the crease of the eye. And then I'm actually going to go underneath the eye just a little bit on the corner of the eye. And then do the same. I'm actually looking at my viewfinder up on my TV so that way I can see what I'm doing, because I don't look down whenever I'm doing it, because if you look down while you're working on the bottom of your eye, you can get eyeshadow in your eye, which is gonna like blur your vision and can irritate your eye if, you know, there's a possibility of that. So okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take and look at my other eyeshadows, and I'm going to take and build into the crease just a little bit more, so that way I can give it a little bit more dimension. And the next shade that I'm going to go in with is this one right here, and I'm actually going to put this actually on the corner of my eye and slightly build it in, and not too much, because then we're just going to end up creating like a really smoky effect, and then we're just going to end up blurring out everything that we did with our starting shade. So that way we can just build into the actual crease of the eye. So I'm actually going to start on the corner of the eye again, and then work my way up, but only halfway. I'm not going to go fully on over. I'm only going to go halfway. And then if you have like a tissue or something around, it's a really good idea to have that. Just swirl your brush on it real quick, knock off the rest of the product, and then just start feathering that up into your starter shade. And then that way you can get more of a finish. So as you can tell, it goes from dark to light, and that's exactly what we're wanting. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye. And just build into that, so that way we can have ourselves a nice little gradation of color. And then once like you have all this like down in technique and stuff, it goes by really fast. It used to take me an hour to do most of my makeup looks, and now it takes me like 30 to 45 minutes depending on what I'm doing, sometimes even 20 minutes. If it's something that's like not as, you know, large or something like that of a makeup look. Now if I'm doing like entertainment makeup, which is like drag makeup, then that's a little bit different of a story, because then you're recreating the mold of your face, you're changing it. So you're not so much just taking what your bone structure has and making it prettier. What you're doing is you're changing it through shadows and shapes and stuff, because, well, that's what drag queens do. That's how they go from male to female in makeup, is they use shadows and dimensions and brighter colors and stuff to change the dimension of their face. It's basically stage makeup. It's costume makeup. Let's see. Okay, so also putting just a little bit underneath the eye as well. And then making sure that the saturation of the color is even on both sides of the eye. Okay. And then next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Fix Plus, and then I'm also going to take my other Morphe palette, which is nothing but shimmers. I'm going to take this, which is nothing but shimmers, and I'm going to take a flat synthetic brush. I'm going to take a small flat synthetic brush. I'm going to spritz this just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a lighter shade in here, which is going to be this upper one up here. And I'm actually going to use that on my brow bone just a little bit. And I'm going to take and make my brow bone stand outwards just a little bit with a little bit of sheen to it. Which, by doing this, not only will you have like a 3D dimension look because of the fact that if you're outside or inside of the lights or something like that and the lights are hitting it, it makes your brow bone stand out. And then that way the dimension that you put into your crease is going to make your crease look a little bit deeper and more feminine looking. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. And I know I'm probably going to get the question, well, what do you do whenever it comes to hooded eyes? Hooded eyes, you can still do a cut crease with hooded eyes. It's just a little bit more different of a technique because you have to actually make your own crease in your eye versus having one and just building into it. So you actually have to make your own crease. It's a little bit more of a process. But it can be done. But otherwise, looks that look really good with hooded eyes is fully done eyes, which is like one full shade with like shimmer or something like that. And I'm going to take the same color that I just did on my brow bone at the very top end corner of the Morphe palette, and I'm going to do that on my lid. So I'm just going to pat that down right here on the lid of my eye, which is also going to make the crease of my eye look a little bit deeper. And then after that, we're going to head back over to our fluffy brush and buff that out just a little bit so that way we don't have like a harsh line like right through here. Okay. And then I'm using tapping motions because with shimmers, if you do this, they're not going to stick as well. You want to do tapping motions, so that way, because I'm doing tap, push, tap, push, tap, push, so that way, because if you're just tap, 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 it's still going to work, but it's, in my opinion, it's not as efficient. So what I like to do is just tap and push, tap and push, so that way you're kind of like pressing in the pigment and then spreading it just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to find my fluffy brush because I could not find it. And then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to go slightly on over that so that way we can buff out that line right there so that we don't have very much of a harsh line. So anyway, so yeah, that's basically how I contour my eyes, especially for something as easy as this. Other looks are a little bit more difficult, and I will get to those looks later on. That's usually what I do in some of my other tutorials. So if you have any other things that you would like to know about, especially whenever it comes to doing eye looks, if you have any questions about those, please leave a comment down below with a link to a Pinterest look that you would be interested in seeing, and I will take and get to that as soon as possible. Anyways, I will see you guys soon. Bye.